Happy Easter Monday, everyone. Hope everyone had a good Easter. So, back up so I'm not so close. So we'll wait just a minute or so in case anyone is having trouble getting on or anything like that. And then we will get started. I do have a few helpers today. A couple of my cats are awake and inside. Last week they were all asleep. So hopefully they won't get in the way too much. Just while we're waiting, hi Skywalker. This is Skywalker. Every time I put the mat down, she thinks that it's hers. So yeah, we might have a little bit of help with our class today. So like last week, we're going to do about 40 to 45 minutes. Of course, if you're watching this live and you need to go before then, please feel free. If you have a block, you can go ahead and have it ready if you think that you might want it for your head or anything like that. We are going to do a couple of exercises on hands and knees, so if you would like to have something under your knees, especially if you're on a hard floor, this one's not so bad because I'm on carpet, but feel free to get a blanket, fold it up, an extra yoga mat, or fold up the one you're on, or a pillow, anything like that you want for your knees. And last thing, if you're recovering from an injury, or you are pregnant, or recently had a baby, or surgery, or maybe you're a little bit new to Pilates, please make sure you keep it at your own level. I will be giving harder options. Please don't feel like you have to take those options just because they are there. And if something doesn't feel right, just come out of it, have a rest, or take it back a step to the lower level. I think that's about it. I will, again, just wait about another minute or so just in case anyone is having trouble getting on, because I know I had trouble getting the page to open when I was getting on to the Beach Down page Thursday. And I'm not going to use music for this because a lot of times Facebook will either take videos down or sometimes mute videos or ban people for a certain number of days for using music. So I'll save the music for the bar class on Thursday. Skywalker. Never fails. We have people over or I go on camera. It's always the best time to clean my tail. Right, so let's go ahead and get started then. We are going to start sitting down today. So if you are laying or standing, just come on down and have a seat. I'm just going to take off my shoes and we will get started. Okay, so for our starting position, I generally sit cross-legged because that's comfortable for me. But if that isn't comfortable for you, please feel free to have the feet together, the legs out in front. Some people like to have the legs a little bit apart. What we want to aim to do is just make sure that our sitting bones are pressing equally into the mat, especially if we have our legs crossed, that we're not leaning into one side or the other side more. Okay? We want to make sure that we're sitting up nice and tall. Okay? When we sit, it's really easy to kind of round the back or to lean back. So we want those shoulders over the hip bones. And we want to think about lengthening up the spine. So if we think about breathing from the tailbone up to the top of the head and just feel that length in the spine and relax the shoulders a bit. Okay? We can have a little wiggle from side to side if we need to ground those sitting bones. And then just like if we were standing, we want to make sure that that tailbone is not tilting back or tilting forward. It should be pointing straight down towards the mat. We're going to take a nice big breath in and just breathe out through the nose and the mouth. Good. We're going to do that again. This time we're just going to think about those muscles between the hip bones. Okay? We're not going to do anything with them yet, but just those muscles right between the hip bones. We're going to start to find them and to think about them. So breathing in and out again. Good. Now this time, as we breathe out, we're going to draw those muscles in. So we're going to breathe in And as we breathe out, we're going to find that engagement on those muscles between the hip bones. Okay? As we do that, we should find it a little bit easier to keep that length in the spine without sort of rounding. Oh, sorry. Okay. And from there, we're just going to relax through the shoulders a little bit. So we can lift the shoulders up and down, maybe forward and back, maybe circle them around a few times, but just do whatever feels good with the shoulders. Okay? Now, once we've done that, so we're going to lift the shoulders up to the ears. Take a little roll back and relax the shoulders down. The hands can come next to the hips or onto the knees. Skywalker, have you rolled your shoulders back? No. She's lounging. She's like, nah. Not going to participate. She goes, I'm just gonna steal your mat. Yeah. Okay, so from there we're going to bring the chin parallel and just find that Pilates posture. Okay, this is the same posture we want to be in when we start to lay down, even when we come onto hands and knees. Okay, so we're going to start to warm things up a little bit, and we want to make sure with this first movement that we keep the shoulders relaxed. They're going to want to try to do this, so we want to pull them down. We're going to take an arm. Again, I'm not going to do right and left because my camera, I think, is switched. So I'm not quite sure which way around. I'm not quite smart enough to figure out opposite of opposite. So we're just going to take one arm. Doesn't matter which one. We're going to lift it up, keeping that shoulder relaxed, and we're going to take a little side bend. Now that hip of that arm that's on top, we're going to press down so that sitting bone's not lifting. And then we're just going to lift back up. And we're going to release. Other arm is going to lift up. We're going to take it up and over. Now if we can, we're going to start to look towards that top arm. We're going to come up, and we're going to go again to the other side. Again, looking up towards the top arm if we can, if not, just forward. We want to be very careful that there's no twist in the spine. So we don't want that top shoulder coming forward. One shoulder should always be on top of the other. We're going to do a few more, and then we're going to take it into a little bit of a twist. So warming up through the spine as well as through the shoulders here. So getting a couple of different movements going. Good. And we'll do one more with each arm. And we'll bring it up and just release. Give those arms a little wiggle if they need it. So if we need to change our legs or anything, if we want to change them around or move the position, if we're getting uncomfortable, we can do that. We're just going to take a nice little rotation with the spine. So hands are going to come next to the hips. We're going to want one hand over to the opposite leg, and if we want, we can move that hand behind the hip for a little bit more of a twist. Again, shoulders relax, breathing up that spine, and then we'll just take it across to the other side. Again, the sitting bones are pressing into the mat, and we're just looking wherever is comfortable with that head. And of course, my other cat's lurking outside the door. They're probably all three going to be in the house this week, just to help. So make sure to breathe. We're going to breathe in to come to the center, breathe out to take it into the twist. And while I'm looking in this direction, just a little reminder to donate to the NHS and healthcare workers if you can. Good. So we're going to come back to the front. Okay. So with this next one, we're going to move the spine sort of forward and back. Hey, Skittles. She came around and saw one cat. She's like, no, I'm not going that way. So hopefully she won't come and join us. So sitting nice and tall, we're going to take our arms out in line with the shoulders. Can be slightly lower, but we don't want them any higher than the shoulders. We're just going to round the spine. So really make a nice sort of C shape with the spine. And then we're going to open, just press the chest forward slightly and look forward. And we're going to round as we breathe out. So relax the shoulders. Breathe in, open. And if we want, we can look slightly up, but not dropping the head all the way back. And we're going to round. If we want to change our legs here, we can also do that if we feel like we need a little bit more support from the legs and the hips. Usually this is what we would stretch when we do our roll down. So, but since we're not standing, we're just going to do it sitting today. the next time we open, we're going to just release. Oh, shake everything out. Good. All right, so if we are not already, we're going to sit with our legs out in front. Okay? Again, just check that the spine hasn't started to lean back or round. If it has, grab that block or roll up the mat to sit on, because it could just mean that the hamstrings are a little bit tight and they're kind of pulling on the hips and lower back. We're going to flex our feet. Everyone see my feet? I think they can, yeah. And engage in those muscles between the hips, because we're going to use those. All we're going to do is just draw one knee in. Just bring it in as much as we can, and then slide it back out. Okay? Other leg. We're going to breathe out to slide it in. Breathe in to slide it out. Okay? Hands can be next to the hips to help us keep that length on the spine. But again, make sure that the shoulders aren't lifting if the hands are on the mat. Good. Now, if we want to, we can do this with a little bit more of a challenge. So we lift the leg first, then we bring it in, we stretch it back out, and we release it down. That's going to get a little bit more hip flexor and a little bit more quad working, but still engaging between the hips. So we lift, we pull it in, we press away, and we release. Good. We'll do a few more of these, either with or without the lift. Don't worry so much if the knee starts to kind of go out to the side. We want to try to keep it in line with the shoulder as much as possible. But if your hips are quite turned out like mine, it might rotate out a little bit. We'll do one more each leg. And then we'll give those legs a little shake. And while we're here, we're just going to circle the ankles a few times. We just sort of warmed up through the knees and the hips. So just get those ankles going as well. Good. All right, so give everything a little bit of a shake. Get some water if you need it. Hopefully the joints are feeling nice and warm and loose. We're going to come around onto hands and knees. Maybe. So take the feet to one side. Before we do that, we'll just have a little bit of a rest. So open the knees. Let the hips sink back. Watch for any animals that are on your mat. And relax it back. Maybe take a little rock from side to side with the hips. And bring it up. Alright, so coming on to hands and knees. We want our hands under our shoulders, so make sure that they're there. And then walk the knees in or out to make sure that they're under the hips. Okay? Alright. We want to be careful that we don't have the knees touching, because that'll help, first of all, it'll help with balance, to have them under the hips. And it also just helps to align the hips and the spine. So we're going to spread those fingertips. Now in this position, it's really easy to kind of just, here. So press the hands into the mat to lift, and then engage between the hip bones to lift the lower back. It's really hard to completely get the arch out, but what we want to think about is once we get in this position, is not letting the lower back move. Okay? So get it as long as possible, shoulders away from ears, and we're going to replace our hands with our elbows. So now our elbows are under the shoulders. And let me just turn this way so that the cat's not blocking what my hands are doing. Alright, so we're here. We can either take the hands together, which is a little bit easier, or have the hands on the mat shoulder width apart, which is a little bit harder. Okay? We're going to breathe out. And we're going to just bring our nose forward. Okay? We're aiming sort of for in front of our fingertips. We're going to breathe in, engage the abdominals, and move the shoulders back over the elbows. Okay? We're sort of looking towards where that nose is headed, so kind of towards the end of the mat, and then pulling back. With this one, be very careful that the elbows don't start to go out wider. Okay? That does make it easier. But it's also going to take the work away from the triceps, which is what we're focusing on. So as we come forward, shoulders away from the ears, and then as we pull back, really use those abdominals. Keep that spine nice and long. We should be feeling this in those muscles between the hip bones, as well as the back of the arms. Now we're going to hold the next one forward. And we're going to only come halfway back and then back as far as we can. Halfway back and then forward. Halfway back and forward. Halfway back. 2 more. Halfway, forward, halfway back, forward, all the way back. And send it back just for a moment to stretch those arms. Give them a little bit of a shake if they need it. Oh. And then we're going to come back up to hands and knees. Alright, so this time we are going to have our hands under our shoulders. If we do prefer to have our elbows under our shoulders, that's absolutely fine. We can drop back down onto the elbows, especially if it's better for the wrist. Alright, so push the hands into the mat, engage. We're going to take one leg and we're going to send it straight out behind us. Actually, let me do this leg because it's closer to the camera. Okay, so all we're going to do is just start by lifting and lowering. Now it's really easy here to let the belly go when we lift the leg, so make sure that we're still engaging. Okay, and we're just going to lift. Just to about hip height. We don't want to go any higher. We want to think about squeezing the glutes and engaging the hamstrings and both hip bones facing down to the mat. We're going to exhale to lift and inhale to lower. Okay. Our eye gaze is to the end of the mat and we're just going to lift. Da, da, da. Feel that squeeze in the glutes. Feel that nice stability in the hips. And because it's Monday, we're going to hold the next one up. Now from here, we're going to flex the foot. Okay? Now we're not going to lift and lower the leg. Keep the leg where it is. We're going to pull the heel in towards the hips and then extend. Okay? So pull in and extend. We should feel this one a little bit more in the hamstring, but the glutes are still working to keep the leg lifted. Okay? Keep, whoop, sorry Skywalker, keep pressing into the hands. She must have got bored with my class already. And good. Now from here, we're going to do 3 more. And 2. Hold the next one in. And then bring the foot over the knee. So don't squeeze it all the way in. Take it so that then level look back if we need to. And we're going to do little tiny lifts. So we're going to lift, 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 lift. Squeeze that booty. Squeeze it for 8, 7, keep engaging the abdominals, and 4, 3, 2, 1. Put that knee down. Take a little wag with the tail. So just take the hip side to side, and then we'll sit it back for a moment. If we want to, while we're here, we can circle those wrists. Yeah, give them a little bit of a shake. Oh, my nose. Itchy nose. All right. So let's go ahead and do the other side. Then we'll work on our lower back, and then we will do a little bit more work for the abdominals. Okay, so back to hands and knees or elbows and knees. Again, make sure that we're pushing the hands or the elbows into the mat. We're going to lift the belly, stretch one leg out nice and straight. Okay? From there, we're going to exhale to lift and inhale to lower. Again, both hip bones stay facing the mat. It is really easy to open, but we want to keep both hip bones pointing down. Good. Shoulders away from the ears, looking to the end of the mat, and really squeezing that booty to bring that leg in line with the hip or slightly lower. Good. Make sure that we're breathing. And my Pilates teacher used to always tell me, if you smile, it hurts less. So, try smiling. Let's hold the next one up. Flex the foot. The toes should point down to the floor. We're going to squeeze the heel in and release. So pull the heel in, release. Exhale, pull in. Inhale, really stretch the heel. Try to touch the wall below that foot, which if you're in a small space might actually happen. So stretch for that wall. Good. Hold the next one in. Not this one, but the next one. And then open out a little bit. Have a look if you need to make sure that the ankle is over that knee. We're going to lift. Little tiny lifts. Lift. Lift. Squeeze the booty. Squeeze it. Push into those hands. Don't let the shoulders sink. We've got 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and down. And sit it back. Have a little wiggle if you need it. Shake it out. Okay. Just have a little rest. Get some water if you need it. For our next exercise, we're going to be working the shoulders, and then we're going to work the lower back. If you know that your shoulders are feeling a little bit tight today, I would recommend having a block or a pillow or something to put under the head, just to lift that head slightly. Okay. So, we're going to come onto our belly, and we want to make sure that our feet are on the floor. Okay, so no feet lifting here. If we want our block or pillow, we're going to put it under our forehead. We're going to stretch our arms out with our thumbs up, okay? I think you can still see my... Let me scoot back a little bit more. There we go. Yeah, okay. I think my fingertips are still in the thing. If not, I apologize. But we want to have our hands like this, straight arms. All right, we're going to go ahead and lift the belly, so make sure those muscles between the hips are switched on. And forehead is either going to go on the mat or on our block or pillow. And what we're going to do is, without lifting the head, so we shouldn't feel this anywhere but the shoulders, we're going to lift one arm up. Okay? And then we're going to lift the other. So we're going to breathe in to lift and breathe out to release. If we really struggle with that and we have our forehead on the mat, try it with a block under. Or if we don't have anything that we could put under the forehead, then just lift the head slightly. It'll just free up some space. But again, we're not working the lower back here. We're just lifting one arm and then the other. Shoulders away from the ears. And we want the arms to be as straight as they can. Okay? So we're going to do a few more. We'll do one more on each arm. And then we're going to go straight to the lower back. So, take the hands down next to the hips. A lot of times we have the palms facing down, but that's going to cause the shoulders to round forward. So what we're going to do is turn our hands so that the palms face out. So we're giving the people next to us a thumbs up, okay? And then pull those arms close to the hips. We're going to breathe in and lift, reach the fingers back, keep the thumbs up, and release down. We can engage the glutes a little bit to support that lower back, but we want to make sure that the feet aren't lifting. That way we know we're not using the glutes too much. Our eye gaze is to the end of the mat, and we are lifting those muscles between the hip bones away from the mat. Even when we breathe in and lift the upper body, we're still engaging. We don't want that belly pressing into the mat. We're going to do 4 more. And 3. Keep those toenails on the mat. And 2. Last one. Let the hands come under the forehead or that block and relax it down. And a little rock from hip to hip if that feels good. Alright, when we are ready, let me just scooch forward a little bit. We're going to take our hands under those shoulders, push back, and just let that spine stretch in the opposite direction. Again, if we want to, we can get some water. We're going to come from here onto our side. Doesn't matter which side, because we're going to do one side and straight away do the other. We're going to do a little bit of clam work today. So what that means is, first of all, we're going to stretch our bottom arm out, okay, in line with the shoulder. So make sure it's not pointing. If we think about that we're in the middle of a clock, that arm should be pointing towards the 12, okay? If that's not possible, point it towards the 3 or the 9, whichever way we're facing, and put a block or pillow or something under the head. All right? Now, our shoulders are in line with our hips, so make sure that the shoulders aren't leaning behind or in front. Our knees are in front of our hips, okay? So make sure that our knees aren't down here. Pull those knees forward, okay? Our feet, I don't really mind if the feet are in line with the tailbone or if they're slightly more forward. okay? We just don't walk the feet behind the hips. That's the most important thing. Keep engaging between the hip bones and have a look at the knees, okay? Make sure that that top knee is not behind the bottom knee. If it is, we just need to push that top hip forward to stack, all right? Now once we have all of that, we're going to lift the top knee. So keeping the feet together, we're going to open that top knee and close it. That's it. That's all. What we want to make sure we do, though, is not roll that hip back, okay? Whatever hip is on top, it stays stacked. Our shoulders are relaxed, our head's relaxed, and we're just opening our clam. Now, if we prefer, we can lift the feet and open from there. It doesn't really make it easier or harder. It just gives us a little bit more space to move that leg. Okay? We're going to do 4 more like this, and then we're going to change it slightly. Is that 2 more now because I've lost count. I can't even count 4 today. Last one. Good. So we're going to add on. We're going to start the same. So we're going to open. Now from here, we're going to squeeze and extend that leg. We're going to bend the knee. The feet should come back together without having to move, and release. So we're going to open, extend, bend, release. Okay? So we're not trying to extend the leg all the way up here. We just, wherever that knee is, all we do is stretch that leg out. So when we bend the knee, the feet come back together. Okay? So we're not trying to do anything big or huge. We just want to extend. We should feel it in that top hip. Feel it in that booty. Let's make the next one the last one because I'm going to be a little bit mean. Good. So from here, just lift the top leg slightly and we're going to circle. For 8, 7, keep engaging between the hips. 5, keep looking forward, no looking down towards those legs. Doesn't make it any easier. And reverse those circles. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Oh. Sit up. Now that leg that was on top, just cross it over that bottom leg. If we want, we can straighten the bottom leg. Just pull it in. Oh. Ouchie. Forget how hard it is to do the whole class. I usually, do it and then go up and, supervise and walk around to make sure everyone's doing it correctly. But I don't have any excuse when I'm at home. All right, let's take it to the other side. All right. So, set that arm up, point it to the 12, the 3, or the 9. Make sure that head is in line with the spine, so no tucking the chin, and the shoulders in line with the hips. The knees are stacked, and the feet are either in line with the tailbone or a tiny bit forward. Really relax the head. So, when we are ready, we're going to open and close our clam. Okay? So, the distance that top knee lifts will depend on the rotation in the hips. Now, I have quite turned out hips, so some people may only be able to get this much space. Some people might be able to open all the way. Okay, doesn't really matter. We will still feel it, even if there's only a tiny lift. What we don't want to do is roll back and twist the lower back to get that knee higher. Okay. We will still feel it, I promise, because these are awful. We've got 2 more. All right, so the next time we're going to add on the stretch. So we're going to lift, stretch, bend, and close. Oh, this is my tighter hip, so I can feel it about twice as more on this side than the other side. Keep it going. And please make sure to breathe. We're going to exhale to open, inhale to extend, exhale to bend, and inhale to close. Engage between those hip bones. We've got 2 more like this. Last one. Now keep that knee bent here and just lift. Let's circle. 8, 7, 6, 5. My circles are much smaller on this side. 2 more. And other direction for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And sit it up. Just cross it over, pull that knee and hug it in just to give that glute a little bit of a stretch. Good. Have a little bit of a rest. Get some water. I'm just going to check and make sure that everyone is okay. Da, 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 da. Yep, it looks like it. If you do have any comments or questions, just pop them underneath. I won't be able to answer so much during the live class, but I will get to it. Oh, sorry about my hair, guys. I will make sure that I look at them afterwards, okay? Right, so we are going to come around onto our back. And before we do anything else, we're going to pull those knees into the chest and just give them a hug. Stretch those glutes a little bit. Maybe take a little rock from side to side. And we're going to place those feet down. All right, so if we would like to, we can grab our prop, whatever we have. Just let it come behind the head. And once we are laying down, most important thing, we switch on the muscles between the hip bones to press that lower back down towards the mat. Okay? It doesn't have to be flat, but we just don't want to have a whole lot of space where we can get our whole hand underneath that lower back. All right? So once those muscles are switched on, we're going to start with both feet on the mat. We're going to bring one knee, hold on, let me think about this. We're going to straighten one leg out. I know exactly what I'm talking about, don't worry. So we're going to straighten one leg out. Bring that leg down towards the mat as low as we can. We're going to lift it back up to about 45 and then replace the foot to the floor. Other leg. It comes to about 45. We lower it down as much as we can without the lower back lifting. We bring it up and down we go. Let's go again. So we extend. We release it down. We bring it back to 45. Foot to the floor. Good. So if we feel like this is enough of a challenge today, let's just stay here. Otherwise, we're going to come to our 100 position, bringing one knee and then the other over the hips. Okay. Now notice there's a nice 90-degree bend here. So my knees are not here and they're not all the way out here. They're just over the hip bones and the ankles are in line. So they're not here and they're not here. Same thing. We stretch one leg. We're going to draw it down. It might not go quite as low, which is fine. Straighten it back up. Bend it in. So we extend. Drop it down. Lift it up. Knee over hip. Okay? So it doesn't matter if we start with the feet on the floor or the feet lifted. The most important thing is when we drop that leg down, the lower back's not lifting. If it is, don't take the leg quite as low. Okay? We also need to make sure we can keep that lower back down if we have both feet in the air. So when we did this, if our lower back arched up and we can't put it back down, take the feet back down to the floor. Okay? It's going to be much safer and it will give us the same exact results. And those of us that have been doing Pilates for a while and think, this is just too easy for a Monday, we can do both legs, but again, when we lower them down, there should be no movement in the lower back. We lift them back up, both knees over the hips, okay? Out. I'm not very good at this because my lower back likes to lift naturally. So I'm going to go back to one leg at a time for our last two. But if we do want to do double legs for the last two, please feel free. Once we've done the last two, we're going to draw those knees in. Have a little rock from side to side. Nice big deep breaths. All right, take those feet to the floor. We're going to work our obliques now. So, we are going to take one hand, I don't mind which, behind the head. Okay? Keep that elbow nice and wide, so we don't want to be able to see the elbow. And we're going to lift the head and shoulders. Okay? The other hand's going to come next to our sort of thigh. And we're going to reach down and try to touch our ankle. Depending on how close the feet are, we might get it or we might not. And then we're going to come back to the center. That's all we're going to do. We're going to reach down and back to the center. Okay, so reach down. So we're doing a nice little crunch, taking the ribs towards the hips, working through those obliques. So we're just going to reach and down. If we need a little rest through the head and the shoulders, just put them down, have a little breath, and then we'll lift back up and start when we're ready. Excuse me. Reach. We're going to do 4 more. 4, 3, 2, last one. All right, everybody come back to the center and release the head. All right. Other hand behind the head for support. Make sure that when we lift here, that the elbow's not coming forward, because that will generally cause us to pull on the head and the neck. So just open the elbow out wide, keep the chest open, and we're going to reach. So reach for that ankle or for the calf. We're going to reach. We're aiming to touch that bottom rib to our hip bone. It won't happen, but that's what we're going to think about. So we're going to exhale and reach, release. Reach and release. Reach and release. We should feel it still between the muscles, between the hip bones, because we do have the head and shoulders lifted as high as we can. We've got 3 more. 3 and 2. Last one. Oh, and release. Oh, if we want, we can stretch the legs out, stretch the arms out. We've got 1 more exercise, and then we will give everything a nice stretch before we skedaddle for the day. Okay, so take the feet back onto the mat. Reset those core muscles and that lower back. Make sure they're pressing down. And when we are ready, we're going to take our legs into the air. Okay? Now, if we can't get our legs completely straight and they need to be a little bit bent, that is absolutely fine, especially if the hamstrings are a little bit tight. We'll just take the legs as straight as we can. Now, I'm going to turn this way for this one, because I think you'll be able to see better. So, what we're going to do is keeping one leg nice and still. The other leg is going to go directly out to the side and back to the center. Okay? And then the opposite leg is going to go out. It's really hard to keep that other leg still. So use those muscles between the hip bones. We're going to open out to the side and back in. If we feel like this is still too much, we can do it with our knees over our hips as well. Okay, so it can be done here. We want to make sure when we take the leg out that the other hip is not lifting. So we don't want to roll, as much fun as that is. We want to keep both hip bones. Okay? Imagine that someone has put 2 nails through the hip bones and the hip bones cannot move. Now that's quite a gruesome thought, but it's a good way to imagine how we want those hip bones to be. Now, if we feel like we want to take it a little bit further, try both legs out and both legs together. Okay? If we have a wall, we might have to move around so we can get some space. But we can take both legs out, both legs in. Again, they can be bent to make it a little bit easier for us if we need to. And we're going to take it out. Now we can still stay with the single leg option if 2 legs is too much. But whichever option we've chosen, we're going to do 4 more. So we're going to do 4. Squeeze the inner thighs. And 3. And 2. Now hold it out. If we're doing single leg, just for a moment, try both legs. Maybe, and everyone bend the knees. All right? Now what I want everyone to do is just draw some circles with the feet. So just draw some circles with the feet. If we want to do it with straighter legs, we can, but it's much, much harder. So bend the knees. Just draw, like blenders, like egg beaters. Yeah? Try it the other direction. 8, 7, 6. Keep pressing the tailbone down. Make sure it's not lifting. 4, 3, 2, 1. And draw the legs in. Draw them together. Whatever we need to do. Little rock from side to side. Woo. That's it. We're done. All right. you're ready, we're going to rock up to sitting to have a stretch today, or let the knees come to one side. So we're going to stretch one leg out in front of us. Doesn't matter which leg, pick your favorite or your second favorite. The other foot, and actually I'll do it this way, is either going to rest to the inside of the straight leg, or just move it out of the way. Okay, so if it's uncomfortable to bend that knee, just move that leg out of the way. Okay, we're going to flex the foot so that the toes and the knee point up. Sit nice and tall, so breathe up that spine like we did at the very beginning of class, and we're just going to fold it forward. Okay, now we want to feel a stretch in the back of the hip, the back of the hip, the back of the thigh. But if we are rounding the back, we'll feel it in the lower back as well, which is fine for this stretch. Okay, as long as we feel it in the back of the thigh. If we need a bigger stretch, we can think about pressing the back of the knee gently down into the mat, not using the hand, but just pressing the back of the knee down. If we want more length on the spine, think about aiming the chest to the big toe and looking towards that big toe. Good. We're going to roll it up to sitting, and we're going to switch. Okay. So switch the legs. Get that other leg out of the way, whether it's bent or we just moved it. Knee, toes point up. Make sure those toes aren't rolling in or out to the side. Big breath in, sit tall. Big breath out and fold. Okay, our first aim is to get the stretch in the back of the thigh. If we feel it in the back, that's fine, that's great, as long as we are still feeling it in the back of the thigh. Okay, we're going to come up, stretch both legs up, give them a shake. Okay, from here, we're going to do a similar sort of stretch where we're going to bend one leg. So, place one ankle above the opposite knee. Now, try not to have the ankle bone right there. Try to take it a little bit. I don't know if you can see. Take it a little bit across. But we still want a number 4 shape with the legs. Okay? If this is as much as we want to do, just take the hands to that inner thigh, gently press down. Otherwise, hands are going to come back behind. We're going to slide the bottom leg up to bring that ankle closer. What's going to happen is this. Alright? So, push the chest towards that top leg. If we need more, walk the hands in, and then try to relax the shoulders. If we need more of a stretch, lift the hips, move the hips toward that bottom heel. But again, we need to walk the hands in. We're aiming to get our chest to touch the calf of that top leg. Might not happen today, but that's fine. It's something that we can work towards. So we get a nice stretch in the outer hip and the glutes after all of our clam work and our leg lifts when we were on our hands and knees. Good, to come out, move the hips back, walk the hands back, stretch the bottom leg out, and just fold forward for a moment, get a little bit more of a stretch, and then we'll come up. So we won't hold there long, it's quite an intense stretch. Switch it over. So, I'll try to show you, actually if I show you standing. So, we want to have that ankle just above the knee, but we can take it slightly across so the ankle bone's not pressing into the thigh if we need to. Alright, so we know we can stay here at a little pressure if it's okay with the knee, or slide that bottom knee in. Okay, move the hips forward if that is needed, hands up, shoulders down, just relax, breathe. This is where we might find that one hip is a little bit tighter than the other, which is normal. Oh, we got an itch. Okay, come out, so however we need to, but keep the legs as they are, straighten that bottom leg out, and just slowly fold forward. Bring it up, stretch both legs out, give them a little bit of a shake. Pull the knees in, have the knees and the feet together this time. Okay, so try not to let them open. Take the hands behind the knees, grab onto the wrists or fingertips, and we're going to tuck the tailbone in the chin as if we were going to roll down to sitting. We're going to relax the shoulders, bring that chin to the chest, nice deep breaths into the back of the body. From there, sit nice and tall. And take the legs in whatever position is comfortable. So back where we started basically. 3 big deep breaths to finish. So let's breathe in. Sit even taller in that spine. Breathe out. Sink those shoulders away from the ears even more. Let's go again. Breathe in. Lift out of those hips. Breathe out. Relax. This time, breathe into all 4 corners of that torso. Really extend. Breathe out. Release. Take a nice big roll with the shoulders 2 or 3 times. And then give yourselves a hand or a pat on the back for a job well done. Thank you for joining me if you joined in live. If you're watching this later, thanks for tuning in. I will be back Thursday at 11 with bar. With the bar, you can do it with a chair, a countertop, a couch, a windowsill, or you can do it without a bar. I haven't decided which way around I'm going to do it, but please join in. It's going to be some conditioning for the legs, for the core, for the arms, as well as a little bit of cardio. It'll be about the same length of time, about 40 to 45 minutes. Otherwise, enjoy the sunshine. If you do have any questions or comments, just pop them at the bottom, and I will make sure that I answer them. And once again, donate if you can. Thank you very much, and I will see you back next week for Pilates, unless anything has changed. Thank you very much, everyone. Bye!